My name is Beth Wangen. I use she, her pronouns. And I want to say, I think the first time I ever heard someone introduce themselves using their pronouns, it was at at an LLI presentation event. The groups were giving their presentations, and one of the judges introduced himself that way. And I was like, oh, wow, that's super. And now, look, now everyone's doing it. So trend setting, Letty, way to go. Um, I want to start with just a little acknowledgement because I don't know if anyone has said this. It didn't happen when I was paying attention earlier, but today's January 6th. And so some people might be having big feelings about that. If you are, I am right there with you having big feelings about it, and that is okay. And if you want to talk to people about that, please find people to talk to, because this is your, where were you when event. For people a little bit older than me, it was where were you when JFK was shot. For people a little bit older than you, it was where were you on 9/11 when you heard what was happening on 9/11, right? You don't even have to say the year. Like everybody just knows what 9/11 means. Well, it's January 6th, and that's going to be one of those things where everybody just knows what January 6th means. And it was 3 years ago today, that our US Capitol was attacked. So, I just want to say it's okay if you have feelings about that, and think about where you were when you heard what was going on, because people will ask you that in the future. Where were you when? But while I give you a little background on me, I do want to invite you to do a few stretches with me because, when did we start? Like 9, spent a couple hours. I know you had a small break, but NASA has come out with this work fit thing, and they have some really great stretches. So I'm going to share my screen. And if you feel goofy doing stretches in front of a camera, feel free to turn your camera off while we do this. But I will ask you to turn it back on after if you can. So this one, you can do this one seated or standing. Just clasp your hands together and stretch your arms, palms facing up toward the ceiling. If you push your arms up but your shoulders down, you get some really good stuff. And take some deep breaths, and feel free to hold that as long as you want or not. It's whatever feels right to you. So as I said, my name is Beth Wangen, and I work with WSU, that's Washington State University Extension. So there's an extension branch of WSU in every county. And the extension branch, feel free to do some neck stretches. I always need to after that one. There's an extension in every county that helps to bring educational programs to the community. And so among those are things like master gardeners, forestry programs, beach watchers. There's someone who teaches about, how to have a small farm, how to can and preserve food. And we have our youth development department, which is 4-H, and that's the department I work with. That said, I am actually a county employee. So if anybody ever wants to talk about county jobs and how to apply for that, feel free to pick my brain. I'm going to scroll to one of my other favorite stretches now. Here, this one. Oh, this one is so good. Okay, clasp your hands behind your lower back. Push your chest outward and raise your chin. This is like the opposite of your sitting at the computer position. So this feels really good. Breathe deeply. And after a few breaths, you can reverse that. Stretch your arms out straight in front of you. Move as slowly as you need to. Palms facing down. Lower your head in line with your arms and round your back while you look down. Take a few breaths and go back and forth. Go back to arching your back and rounding your back. So I want to tell you that the last time we had a position open in our department in 4-H, I put the word out to all of my Latina contacts, including Letty and everyone I knew, and said, please, please, please share this job posting because I desperately wanted to have somebody who's bilingual working in our department. And I don't get to see all of the applications. The HR department at the county filters them out and sends us like the top 30 or 50 or whatever it is. And guess how many we had who spoke Spanish? Zero, nobody. And I don't know if that's because they applied and didn't get through the first gauntlet, or they didn't apply, but it is not easy to apply for a county job. They use a system called NeoGov, and there are about a jillion questions, and you have to answer them thoroughly and well. And, single word answers will not do much of the time. So if you ever want someone to sit there with you on a Zoom while you share your screen and answer those questions, feel free to ask. I will be there for you. I would like to see more bilingual folks working for the county. That's not to assume that you are all bilingual, but I'm guessing many of you are. So I did want to make that offer to you. I should also say that my background is in camping. I used to be a camp director for years and years. So I am not a lecturer. Get ready to interact because this is team building anyway. You wouldn't expect a lecture for team building, right? So, another note I wanted to make before we get started. I'm just going to make a little plug. I'm big into all DEI things, diversity, equity, inclusion, and we are starting a discussion group evolving around race and equity. It's going to be on Tuesday evenings. I did not check whether this conflicts with any of your meetings. So if your group is meeting, then please go to that. But if you want to join a discussion group or you know anybody who might want to, go on. So feel free to forward this on to them. We're just going to meet for 5 Tuesday evenings for 90 minutes. We're going to have different passages to discuss. We're going to make some of the passages will be from a book called So You Want to Talk About Race. And it's an excellent book. I recommend it. I'm going to say the author's name is, does anyone know? I'm going to say it wrong. It's Oluo is her last name, I think. Ijima. I'm going to get it wrong. But I've just started reading it. Really fantastic book. So anyway, that's my little plug for that. And I'm going to stop my share. So well done. Thank you for stretching with me, and feel free to turn your camera back on if you are able to do so. I know some people might not have cameras, or you might lose your great connection if you switch your camera on, but it of course makes for better team building if folks do turn their cameras on. So for a lot of what we're going to do here for the next 45 minutes is going to be in the groups that you're going to be working with a lot on your projects. So do we have people from Skagit here as well? No, so it's just Bothell and Edmonds. And
Just
how many?
Bothell.
It's
Just
only
Bothell.
Bothell.
Oh, it's all Bothell.
But you are being recorded, so Edmonds is going to use it later.
Okay, great. Well, then we don't need to do breakout rooms if everybody's from Bothell. So there was such a fantastic icebreaker there at the beginning. Thank you, Dana. That was really awesome. I don't think we need to do a lot of the lighter weight stuff that I was thinking we might do. But I'm going to give you a little exercise to do that enables you to share to the level that you are comfortable, okay? And this is take something that you're wearing that says something about you and share that with the group. And since we're all going to be together, let's not take a ton of time. Let's have, how many of us are there? Anybody?
18 in total minus ourselves. That's about 14. folks.
Oh, well, we should all go, I think.
Okay.
Yes, we're all part of the team, right? So let's just try to do this in like 30 seconds per person so that we can get through everybody. Something you're wearing that says something about yourself. Now, you get to choose how personal you want to get with this, within 30 seconds, keeping that in mind. So it's really very much up to you. I could say, yeah, these are my glasses. I've been wearing glasses since I was in third grade. I have really bad eyesight. And I could just leave it at that, right? Or I could tell you that, well, I'm menopausal now, and so I have dry eye and I have to blink a lot, and then you'd know a whole lot more information about me than you than you would have before, right? Or I could tell you something about, my wedding ring and just tell you that I met my husband 25 years ago and I love him to death. Or I could tell you something more personal about my marriage. So really you can pick what level you want to get to within 30 seconds. But now you already know two things about me. So who would like to go? Should I just call on folks, or do you want to? I think that might be
I
better since
can.
we're all in one screen.
Mhm.
Evelyn, were you offering?
Yeah, I was like, I can go. For me, I think it's like a little smiley face. I'm always like smiling, or I've been told I was kind and just like a really friendly person. So that's a little bit about me.
Nice, thank you. Great first starter there. Who would like to go next? Jaden, are you ready?
Olivia has her hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, Olivia. Olivia, thank you.
Yeah, it's okay. For me, I'm wearing pajama pants and a sweatshirt, and I guess that symbolizes that I'm a homebody.
Nice, like to hang out at home. So with that, dine out or eat at home, did you answer home?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I did too. Is anybody else ready? If you're ready.
Yeah, I can go. I can go now.
Okay, Jaden, since I pressured you earlier, sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah. I would say for me, it's my hat. I'm almost like always wearing a hat. And I think I can kind of symbolize that, and like I feel like I'm wearing a lot of hats. As a student, Latino, and also just other jobs that I've had, and I feel like that is kind of something that describes me.
Nice. Person of many hats. Thank you. Anybody else ready to go next?
I can go. I'm cheating a little. I have always, because I have a dog, I always have my dog's fur on me. So like that is something that I love to show off. One, because he's my little child, but yes. But answering the question, my earrings. My earrings is just something I feel like if I leave the house, if I don't have them, I feel a little like naked or it's not there. But I just always want to make sure that I'm presentable. It's something that my grandmother always told me, you can't leave the house with the earrings. So yeah.
I thought you were going to say you had dog hair on you. You were wearing dog hair, which
no matter how many times I try, I can never get it off. So that's why the dog was the first option.
I totally understand that. Thank you, Eduardo. All right. Who else is ready?
I can go.
Thank you. Is it Akima?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Akima.
So I have, let's see if my video wants to work. I have this bracelet that has the Virgin Mary, and my shirt says, "Pray more, worry less." I I have my brother has cancer, so I am a person who really relies on faith to get me through the day. And with my brother being a Marine and him having to go to the current war that's happening right now, I pray a lot that to keep my family safe, and just like everything with health conditions and like my immigration status. Like I am a person who like leans on God. Like I can't say I go to church every Sunday or anything like that. But I am definitely a person who is very like not religious, but like faith believer, I guess.
Well, thank you for sharing. That's a lot of challenges. My heart goes out to you. Thank you, Akima. Who's next?
I can go.
Thank you. Is it Nivea?
No, it's Nivea.
Nivea. Thank you for
Yeah.
correcting me. Nivea.
Okay. I can show my shoes. They're red, and I have red nails, and I think red is like my all-time favorite color. I think I usually associate it with like the Mexican culture. Like my bed is red and the flag is right there. And I think I like to represent who I am and just what I like visually on to me. I always wear red.
Thank you. Anybody else ready to go?
I can go. I usually wear earrings. I forgot to put them on this morning, but I'm like a very like jewelry type of person. And if I'm not wearing them, then I feel like I'm naked. Like it just gives that extra touch to like your outfit.
Nice. You and our Eduardo can bond over earring necessity. Anybody else have earring necessity? Yeah, I see some nods. It's in there. All right. Thank you. Adriana. Did I say it right?
Yes.
You don't say Adriana? Okay. Adriana. Who's next?
I can go
Uh,
next. Oh,
I heard, is it Yamala?
yeah. Okay, so something that I have on me currently, my blanket. I hate being cold. Like I don't like the winter. I don't like the cold. I can't wait for it to be summer. And yeah, my room is always like burning hot, and I hate showering with cold water too. Anything cold I don't like.
You and me both. Yamala, you and me both. You can see how many layers I have on. Thank you. All right. Who's next?
yeah, I guess I can go next. One thing that I got on me, I guess, is also sweatpants. Just because I like to be comfy, and I guess I like to be kind of like, I guess, active or be outside and doing stuff. I grew up in a small town with not much to do, so you kind of had to be outside. So, like hiking, swimming, stuff like that. Oh, yeah, I would just like to explore.
Cool. Sounds like a lot to do to me. Love it. I just read a study that people who have a connection with nature tend to live longer and have fewer mental health issues. So keep going outside. All right. Who is next?
I can go next if that's okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Miriam.
So I noticed that I wear a lot of shirts with an animal on it. Usually like bears, furry animals. So I noticed that about myself lately.
Cool. In touch with the animal kingdom. Who else?
I can go. I don't have anything particularly special on, so I'll choose on my fuzzy socks. I also don't really do well with the cold. I get cold really easily, so I tend to choose comfort.
Well, obviously you are all rocking the Zoom thing because you can kind of pick your clothes pretty much at will, right? You can even choose a filter that makes you look like you're wearing fancy stuff when you aren't. Awesome. Who else?
I guess I'll go. I'm wearing a life vest because I am currently at work. I didn't realize the Zoom was today, but it's not too busy, so it's not too bad. I work at a marina on boats for like a boat membership company. So yeah, that's my job. And since we were doing stretches, I would like to point out that the ARC Fitness Center this quarter has a lot of yoga classes throughout the week. And I would highly recommend going if you're a UW Bothell student. It is free.
Cool. Very cool. I thought it looked like you were wearing a life vest. First time I saw you here, I thought, where is she? All right, who else? Everybody. Go, Rosario. Your mic is off.
I'm wearing this sweater, and as you asked the question, I realized that I love colors in anything that I have, and that probably that's exactly why I chose this one to put it together to put on.
Nice. Yeah, I like to answer that question. What's your favorite color with color? Color in general is my favorite. I just love color. Thank you. Who else?
I am wearing a UW Bothell shirt because I went to UW Seattle as an undergrad and I didn't have any Bothell merch, so finally secured some of that. And this is the first UW affiliated merch I bought since I was in college, so the prices have gone up and there's no one, so that was interesting. But it has my name on it. That's kind of why I chose to go to UW because my last name is Washington. So I love anything branded. There's also a candle line called DW Home. I have bought every one of their candles, so I'm very much a Leo centered person. So I love anything that has to do with me. But also I love Washington and the nature, and I usually do something affiliated with nature for my birthday. So this past year I went to Utah to visit the Salt Flats, and the year before that I went to Bellingham in a tree house, which was really cool.
Nice. Yeah, we have some good tree houses in this area. I've not stayed in one, but a lot of them are, you know, like B&Bs or something you can rent. Andres, are you there?
Yeah,
Oh,
sorry, I'm here. Give me 1 second. So one thing that I'm wearing is also a UW sweatshirt. Because I like I mentioned earlier, I love the fact that we've built this relationship with UW Bothell through Letty, and also just since I'm a UW Bothell graduate, a lot of my coworkers were UW Bothell graduates, and um, not just to plug UW Bothell all the time, but I was also I did Edmonds College, running start through Edmonds College, so I just love how 2 out of the 3 schools that participate in this program are schools that I personally attended, so it makes me personally invested into the program.
cool. Did we miss anybody? There might be somebody out there.
Sarina?
Yeah, I can go. I wish I was wearing something interesting, but I'm wearing a Boeing shirt. You can't really see it. It's kind of like, ooh, it says Boeing. I wear it because my dad, he worked there for a very long time, and he retired recently, and it has obviously shaped my life because, you know, he's the one earning the income, and basically it kind of just shaped who I became and where I went and all this stuff. And it also led me to be really fascinated about planes and like how they work and how they're like flying in the sky and how they kind of use birds as like a model. I just think that's so interesting, and I just love learning about planes. I would never like want to work on them. I just love learning about them. So yeah, that's what I'm wearing.
Nice. Thank you. Anybody else that we have not heard from? Reese, did you want to share, or are you really there? It's okay if you're not. It's okay if you don't. Anybody else that we missed? All right. Well, I would encourage you all every time you get together, whether it's in person or on a Zoom, to take a few minutes to do something to connect, you know, before you get down to business. To have a little social emotional check-in, whether it's, I mean, this one we did that is a little bit lengthier than some. It might just be, hey, 5-finger check-in. How are you? Are you like all 5 in? Are you like, oh my gosh, I'm barely hanging on. I'm a 1 finger today. Are you, you know, what? It can be any range of things, but do take the time to just check in with one another whenever you get together. The next thing I want to do is just look at how different we all are. Okay, so we're going to talk about various aspects of skills that you might need this spring. And I'm going to share my screen again. Do you all know how to use your annotation tools? I'm going to invite Eduardo to pop in. Sorry, I didn't warn you, Eduardo, but you're so good at explaining all Zoom things. Do you want to really quickly remind people how to use their annotation tools?
Of course. So, folks, if you are on a laptop, I'm sorry, what is it? iPods, phones, don't have it yet, but hey, maybe one day. On a laptop, at the top of your screen, you should be seeing you are viewing Beth Wagon's screen. Click on View Options. Second is Annotate. On the left side, if you have the most updated version of Zoom, they should pop up as a toolbar. So on the toolbar, you'll go ahead and see a cursor or a mouse. You'll see an arrow, you'll see colors. Go ahead and click on any of those, whether you want to type it out or use a stamp. The stamp is the third option. I love the heart. You can go ahead and stamp all over the place. So I think Beth is going to explain to us how she wants to use this in a second.
Yeah, thank you, Eduardo. So now you can see Eduardo's symbols are disappearing there. So it is possible to erase them once you have put them in. But I want you to rate yourself, okay, on your comfort level with a few different things. So the first one is taking charge. So on this end of the arrow, make your mark, whatever your mark is, if it's a heart or an X or a check mark, whatever you want to use. If you're like, oh no, I do not take charge, that is not my jam, I do not do that, please don't ask me to do that, then do it over here. Okay, and if you're like, oh, I kind of automatically do that unless someone stops me, then you're on the other end. And go ahead and place yourself with just one mark per person on how you are. There's no right or wrong, it's just where are you at with taking charge. Okay, we'll give it about 5 more seconds. All right, well, it looks like in this group, everybody is at least somewhat comfortable with taking charge. So if you're one of those people who was way over here on the, oh, yeah, that's kind of my default. If nobody stops me, I just take charge. Just be mindful of the fact that, you know, it would be good to share that load and let other people lead sometimes, draw other people, because there isn't anybody in this group that's present today anyway, who's way over on the, oh gosh, no, don't ever ask me to do that. Okay, let's look at another one. Oh, I gotta delete your marks. Where is my eraser? Here it is. Okay, so listening and digesting. I'm gonna scroll it down again. If you are really good at listening to what other people have to say and taking that in and pondering it, go ahead and put yourself on the, yeah, like this is my automatic thing. And if you find that sometimes you are thinking about what you want to say next, when you should probably still be listening to what the other person is saying, then you can mark yourself down a little bit lower. Again, there's no right or wrong answer. Everybody has their strengths and everybody has things they can work on. So, and nobody knows whose mark is whose. So feel free to be totally open and honest. All right, so it looks like, you know, some people think they're really, really good at listening and digesting. Make sure you're not only listening, make sure you take some time to share as well. And also that's a good thing to just check yourself on once in a while. Am I really listening to what other people are saying, right? Okay, let's look at the next one. You know, I kind of magically deleted them all last time. Is somebody else helping me with that? Because
Maybe.
how did that happen? All right. Noticing. How good are you? How automatic or comfortable are you at noticing who has not spoken and asking them for their thoughts? This is one that is really good to pay attention to if you're in a virtual environment like we are now, where some people are not on camera, right? I find that I tend to forget about a little more the people who don't have their cameras on. And I might not ask them unless I really intentionally think about it. I might not ask them for their participation. Okay, awesome. Thank you. All right. We've got a couple more. What about getting up? Thank you, Eduardo, for deleting those. What about being the spokesperson for the group? So how do you feel about getting up in front of people and talking? This is something we do in 4-H, by the way. Kids, all kids in 4-H get experience talking in front of people. And a lot of them start out way over here on this end. They're like, oh my gosh, no, I'm not going to get up in front of talk. They'll prepare something, a speech, and they'll just say it in front of one person. Right? And they'll get their feedback. And then the next time, maybe they do it in front of like close group of friends. And then the next time, maybe they do it in front of their whole club. So they get better at it every year. So, okay, we have a much bigger range here. So that's something to think about when you are getting ready to do your presentations. Back down in May, right? When it gets to be May and you're looking at everybody's going to stand up together in front of a group and present what you've accomplished. Some people are going to be more comfortable with that than others. So think about if that's something you're not comfortable with, if that's something you might want to work on a little bit, challenge yourself a little bit, maybe give yourself an opportunity to speak in front of a smaller group. You know, you don't have to go from 0 to 90 in 1 week. Like maybe you can present, you know, to your own group something just to build up a little confidence. Or maybe you're the person who's going to run the laptop during the presentation while other people talk. You know, maybe that's going to be you. So just want everybody to see what a big range there is there. Okay. All right. How about this one? Working hard behind the scenes when nobody is watching. So if you're not getting any credit for it, if you're just doing work, how do you feel about that? Are you pretty default? Yeah, I'm good with that. Are you like, nah, I want people to see me working. I want public recognition. Because that's cool too. Some people love that, some people don't. All right, wow, some people are like totally way off the chart. I'm good at behind the scenes when nobody is watching, put me there. Some people not so much. All right, awesome. We kind of covered giving presentations to an audience when we did the other one. So, all right, fantastic. Now, as you're going to be working together in a little group, it's good to have some agreements, right? You might have heard this called a group agreement, or some people call it a contract. I think that tends to sound a little more rigid. I want you to think of this as something that can evolve over time and not something that has to be a certain way all the time, but you can grow with this, right? So this is like your ground rules as a team. How do you want to act together as a team? Do you know, and we got to get kind of specific here so everybody is on the same page. Somebody might say, well, I think we always need to start meetings on time. Okay, well, everybody might be on board with that. Oh yeah, that sounds good. That sounds reasonable. But what does that mean? What does on time mean? Does it mean that if you say that you're starting at 3 o'clock, that you are going to actually start at 3 o'clock? Does it mean that everybody should be early? Does it mean that you're going to start within 5 minutes of 3 o'clock? There's one professor that I work with who starts all of his meetings at 10 minutes past the hour. And I said, wow, that's brilliant. Like he doesn't say he's starting at 3 and then start at 3:10. No, he says we're starting at 3:10. And I love that because it kind of gives me a little break. If I have something else that goes until 3 o'clock, I can go, make tea and have a potty break or whatever I need. So you got to figure out what that means to your whole group. So this is how do we set ourselves up for success, right? If we are a really high functioning group, what does that look like? So let's get some ideas going here. I'm going to ask you, do you remember chat bombs? It's been a long time since I did a chat bomb. But with a chat bomb, we're going to put our ideas in the chat, but not yet. I want you to think of your idea. What would make us a really high functioning group? And you don't have to get really specific here. This can be the short version, right? And it could be something like, start meetings on time, or it could be something about everybody sharing, or, whatever. There are a lot of things that you could put in there. So what would a really high functioning group look like? What do you think might be a good thing to be in your group agreement? And then when I say rhododendron, then we're all going to click the arrow button to the chat. So go ahead and write it in the chat, but don't hit enter until I say the secret word. Okay, ready? Rhinoceros. Haha, that was not it. That was not the magic word. All right, rhododendron. There you go. Ooh, okay, that's a lot of stuff. Let's see what we got here. We've got communication. Jaden says communication is key. Yamalet says having a positive attitude. Dana says creating a culture of communication, verbal, nonverbal, to support engagement. Okay, so we got a couple of communications, a positive attitude, bringing an enthusiastic and engaged attitude, communicating, engaging team interactions. All right, can I ask for a scribe to sort of jot these down?
Already done.
Since I'm relying on you already, Eduardo, I figured you're way ahead of me. Let's finish going through them here. Bring an enthusiastic, engaged attitude, communicating, engaging, team interactions, input from everybody, agree to disagree, but find common ground. Everyone shares their opinion at least twice during a meeting, taking notes during meetings, making sure everyone gets the opportunity to talk. Okay, Eduardo, do you mind sharing your screen there so we can see that whole compilation?
Yes. Give me a second, actually.
Okay.
I wrote them on a separate thing.
That's okay. So while that's getting set up, I wonder if any of the folks who mentioned communication want to kind of expand on that. Yeah, everybody would say yes, communication is important, but what do you mean? What does that actually look like?
I can
Jaden?
talk about it. Yeah. I feel like every time I've been a part of any group project or any group, really anything, or just even like with anyone in general, like dealing with people, I feel like a lot of times you can have like the difference between like a good group and a bad group is like the communication. Like sometimes you'll be working on like a group project for class and like you won't get anything done because you guys just haven't communicated like what the proper tasks are, or like things like that. And even with just like people in general, like friends, like sometimes just not communicating fully can like lead to like misunderstandings and can kind of make like a divide between groups. So that's why I think communication is just really important.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but what I think I hear you saying is that that note-taking part that somebody else mentioned would be important, that everybody needs to have the same understanding of what's going on, right? Everybody needs to be on the same page. So if somebody's taking notes, it might be good if that person is also thinking to ask the right questions. Okay, so we just said that we wanted to do blah, 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 but who's going to do the blah, 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 blah? And by when are they going to do the blah, blah, blah? So the what is going to happen? Who's going to do it? And by when? All right. Is that what you mean by communication?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, like, I mean, basically that. Yeah.
Yeah. What about other people who mentioned communication? Did you have something else in mind? Sometimes it's good to just establish how the group is going to communicate in general. Like, are we going to use email? Are we going to have a text group? What is going to be our method? Because if somebody in your group only checks their email once a month, like me sometimes, then not my work email, my personal email, then that might not be a good way to communicate. So you got to figure that out too. All right, making sure everybody gets the opportunity to talk. What does that look like? How do we know?
I think one, being a leader has the opportunity to continue talking. And I know being a leader, like, you don't want to stop talking and communicating with others. But I think when you get the idea, like, okay, I think somebody might have an idea of something, you try to incorporate them into the conversation and just ask leading questions of what they think or what idea should be incorporated into a project or into a discussion.
Mm-hmm. So you got to be aware, right? Everybody's got to be noticing. This is a fairly sizable group. Like it would not be hard to miss somebody out and not have noticed that there was somebody who didn't have the opportunity to talk, right? So whether that means you're kind of in a buddy system where you make sure, or a small team of 3 or 4 people where you're going to look out for one another and make sure everybody has a chance to share. I think there was somebody else too, second from the end, who said everyone shares their opinions at least twice in a meeting. How are you going to know? Are you just going to ask? Is there anybody who didn't get a chance to share? There's something called the 7-second rule, by the way, in virtual meetings. If you ask a question and it feels like forever, right? But it can take people a second to find their unmute button, to, take that impetus to actually say what they wanted to say. So if I say, does anyone else have anything they want to share or ask? That's what 7 seconds feels like. Okay. So that could be one way you do it, but maybe your group comes up with another way. Maybe there's someone who's like the monitor of who has not said anything during the meeting. So you can specifically address that person and say, hey, do you have anything that you want to share? All right. There is a lot of really good stuff in here, and I want you all to just take, let's see, it's 10 till. So I do think that the first time you get together, you should decide as a group what you want your agreement to be. But right now, I just want you to have an opportunity to test this out. And I do think that can we split them up into groups? Is that Andres or is that Eduardo? Can we have 2 small groups?
You got it.
Because it's kind of a lot of people. So, and maybe Eduardo can also just put those agreements that he wrote down so generously into the chat so you can all copy them, because I think once you go into your groups, you won't be able to see them. But try those out. I'm going to give you a task to do and see what it feels like to have a positive attitude, to give everybody a chance to share, and whatever else is on those lists. So you'll know if that is something that needs to be refined, or if it's something that works for you or doesn't work for you. But here's your task. All right. So in your small group, pretend that, brace yourselves, there's been an earthquake and all of your homes are destroyed, but you all live in the same neighborhood, right? So you all survived and you're all gathered in the middle of the street. Oh my gosh, we just had an earthquake. But you can't go back into your houses. Fortunately, FEMA drops off some tents and some sleeping bags. So, you know, you have shelter immediately, but you got to make a plan. And this is where you can get a little realistic. Okay. Like if you're a really good cook, somebody can say, all right, I know how to cook. Somebody else can say, I know how to make a fire. We'll make a fire over here in the street. So-and-so can cook. And I just want you to like share what your skills are. What resources do you have to bring to this situation that other people can use, so you can all figure out how you're going to rely on each other to make it through the next few days. All right. Maybe somebody's got kids. They need help taking care of their kids. Maybe somebody else is really good with kids and they're like, yeah, I'll help with babysitting. Maybe somebody else is really good with technology and they're going to figure out if there's any like emergency communications going on, if there's any Wi-Fi signal left. Right. So think about what it is that you're good at and how you can bring that to the group. And just going to give you like 5 minutes, but you're in smaller groups. So see if you can make sure everybody shares, have good communication in the ways that we talked about, right? And try to be positive and those other things. Eduardo, did your list get into the chats, or can you put them into the chats of the breakout groups?
I got you. I'm going to share the document with everyone so everyone will be able to open the document.
Okay, awesome.
Ready?
I'm ready.
All right, opening rooms now.
What would I do without you, Eduardo?
I'll go through.
Have you figured out already that you better not disappear when I'm doing my session? I asked you to do something.
I got you. I got you. All right, let me make sure that.
Like saving us time for our session on Tuesday. Yeah, I love group agreements, and they had a lot of good answers already.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a nice group, Dina.
Yeah.
I'm really excited. You know,
I'm excited for you too.
Even the ones who say they're shy, they're not shy at all. You know?
I know, like saying they're shy and then starting first. It's like better than me.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with the level of sharing that people are willing to do already. And you know, so many people had their cameras on at the beginning. Like there were only like 3 people with their cameras off. And I thought, wow, that's very impressive.
Talking about that, yeah. I really appreciate Beth, and this is exciting. This is exciting. What I was
came up with that earthquake thing. I got to tell you, I came up with that while I was lying in bed last night. So I always try to change it up a little bit for you all too, and for myself. Like I've done the whole, you know, boat disaster. You know, your cruise ship has run into an iceberg and you're sinking, and you can only take 10 things off the ship. What are you going to take off the ship? And I was like, man, but I never get around to that piece where they share their resources are with one another, like their actual resources that they can share with the group. And I'm like, oh, here's how we can combine those 2 things. So I always wish we had more time. But
it's working really, really, really good. I think Eduardo is going to benefit from expanding with his group, because he has to do it next week. So hopefully everybody is ready for the 20th.
So Eduardo, are your students selected yet? Oh, he's
No,
not here.
he's in the process. He's in the process of selecting it. Half
Okay.
of his students didn't register for the winter quarter. So he lost basically, you know, the half of the students. So they decided to just go ahead and postpone it so they can have the whole group. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Life
So,
gets in the way.
I know, right? It just happens.
Finding some benefit with it not being associated with the course, like more people were like willing to join. So that might be something to think about for next year. But getting course credit is like really beneficial. So it's like so.
Yeah.
I want to find my. You really saved me a lot of time, Dana, because I had some, lower level warm-ups. I'm like, I don't need to do that because Dana did this really great icebreaker, and then they were already asking so many questions. I'm like, they're ready. They're ready to get into it. Here we go. I think I'm just going to ask them to reflect with a scale of cats. Oh, I never keep track of the minutes. That was probably 5 minutes, right?
They have like 30 seconds left.
Okay, you already gave them the timer. Cool.
Do you want me to close it now and give them 10 seconds left?
Oh, that's fine. 10 seconds will not make or break me.
Okay. All right, we're now at the last 30 seconds and we're closing them down.
Eduardo, I have to tell you something funny. When you said you're a night person and you like working at night because nobody bothers you, right? Like I'm the same way about the morning. So my husband works really early. So he's gone to work before 6 a.m. I can get so much done between 6 and 9 a.m. because nobody else is working. So nobody's bugging me. Nobody's sending me emails or Teams messaging me. It's just my time. But it's at the end of the day. Yeah.
I have those mornings too where I'm like, I'll get my sleep. I'll wake up early at 4 and just crank it out, whatever I need to do.
All right. Is everybody back? All righty. That was not very much time, but how did you do that? Did you have any revelations like, oh, so-and-so can cut hair? That's good. Oh, so-and-so can change the oil in my car. That's awesome. Anybody have any valuable hidden talents? Or did they swear you to secrecy?
I realized that I'm useless in an earthquake.
I do not believe that, Jaden. I do not.
In an earthquake situation, I'm the one that's crying.
Okay. I was gonna say, I bet you're the one keeping levity in this situation.
I know I'm probably crying.
We realized that our group would probably be eating really good because we know how to cook.
Oh, good. Make sure you come to my house then when you're earthquake. Anybody else? All right. Well, I think Dana is going to make sure that you have some time in your first session together to come up with what you really want your group agreements to be. And I am just going to close with a little reflection activity because it's always good to reflect. That helps you remember what you got out of it. So, how do you feel after doing this? Just dipping your toe into the team building. Which cat do you identify with? You can shout it out or you can put it in the chat. Oops, sorry, there's my chat. You got 11, 12, 6, 11, 6. Got a 1. Nobody feels like they need a helmet. Need any brain protection? Okay, we got a few 6s. A few people whose heads might be a little full on one side, tipping over. Oh, somebody says none. I don't really like cats. That's all right. You don't have to like cats to sense the emotions that these cats are presenting to you. I think maybe number 8 is like trying to raise a paw. Oh no, it's being held up. That's what's going on there. Like, I have another question. And I would not blame you if you do have another question, because you probably have many, many questions at this point. And that is totally normal. Just jot them down so you don't forget. And then you can ask them. All right. I wish you all the best of luck, and I hope I will see you in your further LLI adventures. You are in good hands.